37. Reconsider. Reconsider, a motion of American origin, enables a majority in an assembly within a limited time and without notice to bring back for further consideration a motion that has already been voted on. The purpose of reconsidering a vote is to permit correction of hasty, ill-advised, or erroneous action, or to take into account added information or change situation that has developed since the taking of the vote. Whenever it is stated in this book that a motion or a vote can or cannot be reconsidered, specific reference is being made to the use of the motion to reconsider, and not to any of the other motions or procedures that bring the question again before the assembly. See 625-28, chapters 34-36, chapter 38, and also 1026-3-5, and 2-1027. The motion to reconsider can, in general, be applied to a vote that either adopted or rejected a motion, and it proposes no specific change in the decision, but simply that the original question be reopened. It is neither a main motion nor a secondary motion, but in certain respects it assumes the character of the motion to which it is applied, that is, the motion to be reconsidered, as will be seen below. The full procedure for reconsidering a vote involves essentially 3 stages, which may be summarized as follows. First, the mere making of a motion to reconsider, when seconded by another member and acknowledged by the chair, has the effect of suspending, at least temporarily, any action growing out of the vote proposed to be reconsidered. See 3711. The general rule, therefore, is that reconsider cannot be applied to an affirmative vote whose provisions have been partly carried out, or to any vote that has caused something to be done that it is impossible to undo. See standard characteristic 2 below. Second, the motion to reconsider is considered by the Assembly either immediately after it is made or at some later time, depending on the parliamentary situation. See 3714-17. Although at this stage the motion to be reconsidered is not yet pending, debate on the motion to reconsider, if it is debatable, see 3718, can go fully into the merits of that question. Third, if the motion to reconsider is adopted, the effect is, to the extent practicable and with certain exceptions, to place before the Assembly again the question on which the vote has been reconsidered, in the exact position it occupied the moment before it was voted on originally. The original vote is thus cancelled, and before any new vote on it is taken, the question is again open to debate, amendment, or any other action appropriate in the case. If, however, the motion to reconsider is rejected, the vote which it proposed to reconsider, as well as any action held up because of the proposed reconsideration, goes back into effect, just as though the motion to reconsider had never been made. The same result occurs if the motion to reconsider is dropped without having been voted on at all. See 3711. To provide both usefulness and protection against abuse, the motion to reconsider has the following unique characteristics, as more fully explained in 3710. A. Except in committees, it can be made only by a member who voted on the prevailing side. B. Except in committees, it must be moved either on the same day the original vote was taken or on the next succeeding day within the same session on which a business meeting is held. C. It can be made even when its consideration would not be in order, in which case it may be called up for consideration at a later time whose limits are longer than those for its making. Under those circumstances, action growing out of the vote proposed to be considered is temporarily suspended. Standard descriptive characteristics. The motion to reconsider, 1A. With respect to making the motion, takes precedence over any other motion whatever and yields to nothing. Note, the motion to reconsider has a special form known as reconsider and enter on the minutes, however, which outranks the regular form of the motion. See 3746-52. Back to reading. The making of this motion is in order when any other question is pending, and also after the Assembly has voted to adjourn, if the member rose and addressed the chair before the chair declared the meeting adjourned. If a reconsideration appears to require immediate action in the latter case, the vote on adjourning must be retaken, even while an order for the previous question is in effect on a motion which is immediately pending. Until the chair actually begins to take the vote, the making of a motion to reconsider an earlier vote on another question is in order. B. With respect to its consideration, has only the same rank as that of the motion to be reconsidered, but it takes precedence over and supersedes any new motion of equal rank that has been made but has not yet been stated by the chair. The procedure for calling up a motion to reconsider in preference to a main motion just made by someone else and relating to another matter is similar to that described for moving to take from the table. See Chapter 34. Provided that no question is pending, the reconsideration of a vote disposing of a main motion, either temporarily or permanently, can be taken up even while the Assembly is in the midst of taking up the general orders. 2. Can be applied to the vote on any motion except A. A motion which can be renewed, see 38:6-7. B. A negative vote on a motion which, at the time the motion to reconsider is made, would be out of order because I. It conflicts with the motion previously adopted and still in force. Sorry, I don't know why I said I and II. 1 and 2, it conflicts with the motion which has been temporarily but not finally disposed of and which remains within the control of the Assembly. Or 3, it would conflict with the pending motion that if motion were adopted, C. An affirmative vote whose provisions have been partly carried out. No, exception C does not apply to a motion to limit or extend limits of debate on which the vote can be reconsidered even if such an order has been partly carried out. Back to reading. D. An affirmative vote in the nature of a contract when the party to the contract has been notified of the outcome. E. Any vote which has caused something to be done that is impossible to undo. F. A vote on a motion to reconsider. G. An election that has become final as provided in 4646. Or H. When practically the same result as desired can be obtained by some other parliamentary motion that can be adopted by a majority vote without previous notice. In the case of subsidiary or incidental motions that adhere to a main motion, however, reconsider can be applied only in such a way that the reconsideration takes place while the main motion to which they adhered is pending, either before the main motion is voted on or when it is being reconsidered at the same time. The same is true where one subsidiary or incidental motion adheres to another. For example, reconsider can be applied to the vote on a secondary amendment only in such a way that the reconsideration takes place before the primary amendment involved is voted on, or while the primary amendment is being reconsidered. See 3724 through 34. By application of these principles, it follows that certain motions cannot be reconsidered, while in the case of others, only the vote on an affirmative vote can be reconsidered, and with still others, only the vote on a negative result. See pages T50 through T51 for a list of the motions in each of these categories. See also standard characteristic 8 in the sections on each individual motion. The motion to lay on the table can be applied to the motion to reconsider. Motions to postpone to a certain time to limit or extend limits of debate and for the previous question can be applied to it when it is debatable. See standard characteristic 5. When a motion to reconsider is postponed or laid on the table, all adhering questions are also postponed or go to the table. Motions to postpone indefinitely, amend, or commit cannot be applied to a motion to reconsider. 3. Is an order with respect to making the motion, even after another person has been assigned the floor so long as he has not actually begun to speak. The calling up of a motion to reconsider is out of order when another has the floor. A member can, however, claim preference in being recognized for the purpose of either making or calling up a motion to reconsider ahead of another who rose first for the purpose of making a new motion. See also standard characteristic 1b above. 4. Must be seconded at the time it is made. Unlike the making of the motion, which must be done by a person who voted with the prevailing side, the seconding can be done by any member regardless of how he voted on the motion to be reconsidered. The calling up of the motion to reconsider does not require a second. 5. Is debatable whenever the motion proposed to be reconsidered would be debatable, and when debatable, opens to debate the merits of the question whose reconsideration is proposed. See 3729 through 32, however, regarding a series of motions proposed to be reconsidered, and the question that is open to debate in such a case. When the motion proposed to be reconsidered is not debatable, either because of its nature or because it is subject to an unexhausted order for the previous question, Chapter 16, the motion to reconsider is undebatable, but see 4331 through 32 regarding allowable explanation of an undebatable motion. Similarly, if the previous question is in effect on a pending question or series of questions, and if a motion which is proposed to be reconsidered adheres to these pending question or questions in such a way that the reconsideration must be taken up before the previous question is exhausted, both the motion to reconsider and the motion to be reconsidered are undebatable, even if the latter motion was open to debate at its earlier consideration and the previous question was ordered later. 6 is not amendable. 7 requires only a majority vote, regardless of the vote necessary to adopt the motion to be reconsidered, but see 3735 for a different rule in the case of standing in special committees. 8 cannot be reconsidered. If it is voted on and lost, the motion to reconsider cannot be renewed except by unanimous consent. By the same principle, no question can be reconsidered twice unless it was materially amended during its first reconsideration. Further rules and explanation. By whom and when a motion to reconsider can be made. As briefly mentioned above in 37.8, to provide both usefulness and protection against abuse, the motion to reconsider has the following unique characteristics. A. The motion to reconsider can be made only by a member who voted with the prevailing side. In other words, a reconsideration can be moved only by one who voted aye if the motion involved was adopted, or no if the motion was lost. In standing in special committees, however, the motion to reconsider can be made by any member who did not vote on the losing side, including one who did not vote at all. It should be noted that it is possible for a minority to be the prevailing side if a motion requiring a 2/3 vote for adoption is lost. A member who voted by ballot may make the motion if he is willing to waive the secrecy of his ballot. If the motion to be reconsidered was adopted by unanimous consent, all the members present at the time of the adoption are in the same position as if they had voted on the prevailing side and qualified to move to reconsider. Similarly, if a motion was lost but the negative vote was not taken because it was intrinsically irrelevant, see 44.9a, the members present at the time who did not vote in favor qualified to move to reconsider. This requirement for making the motion to reconsider is a protection against its dilatory use by a defeated minority, especially when the motion is debatable, see standard characteristic 5 above, and the minority is large enough to prevent adoption of the previous question. When a member who cannot move a reconsideration because there are valid reasons believes there are valid reasons for one, he should try, if there is time or opportunity, to persuade someone who voted with the prevailing side to make such a motion. Otherwise, he can obtain the floor while no business is pending and briefly state his reasons for hoping that a reconsideration will be moved, provided that this does not run into debate, or if necessary, while business is pending, he can request permission to state such reasons. See request for any other privilege, 3322. B. The making of this motion is subject to time limits as follows. In a session of one day, such as an ordinary meeting of a club or a one-day convention, the motion to reconsider can be made only on the same day the vote to be reconsidered was taken. In a convention or session of more than one day, a reconsideration can be moved only on the same day the original vote was taken or on the next succeeding day within the session on which a business meeting is held. These time limitations do not apply to standing or special committees, see 3735. Except by unanimous consent, a motion to reconsider that has not been finally disposed of cannot be withdrawn after it is too late to renew it. That is, it can be withdrawn only within the same time limits as for making the motion in the first place. C. The making of this motion has a higher rank than its consideration. That is, the motion can be made and seconded at a time when it is not in order for it to come before the assembly for debate or vote. In such a case, it can be taken up later, even after it would be too late to move it in the first place. The motion to reconsider is introduced at a time when if the motion to reconsider is introduced at a time where it cannot be taken up, the chair does not state the question on it is pending, but instructs the secretary to record the motion as made and seconded. While the motion to reconsider the vote on a main motion has this status, a member can bring the motion before the assembly at any time when its consideration is in order. When he does this, he is said to call up the motion to reconsider. See 3715. Suspending effect of making a motion to reconsider. The effect of making a motion to reconsider is the suspension of all action that depends on the result of the vote proposed to be reconsidered. This suspending effect lasts until A. The motion to reconsider is adopted or rejected, B. It is withdrawn, see 3710B and 3311 through 18, C. It falls to the ground without having been voted on because it was pending or remained temporarily disposed of upon the final adjournment of a session under conditions stated in 217C, or D. If it has not yet been taken up when the limits of time for calling it up have expired, see 3715. If the motion to reconsider is adopted, the original vote on the motion being reconsidered is thereby canceled altogether, but if the suspending effect is terminated by a vote rejecting the motion to reconsider or in any other way, the situation becomes the same as if there had been no such motion, and the vote which it was proposed to reconsider and any other action held up because of the proposed reconsideration comes into full force as if in effect, so far as applicable, from the time the vote was originally taken. Reconsideration of a motion that is no longer in order because of intervening action. It should be noted that, as a consequence of the rule set forth in B of standard characteristic 2 above, action taken by an assembly may preclude the making of a motion to reconsider the vote on a previously rejected motion. For an example, assume that a motion to spend all of an available sum of money for library books is voted down, and thereafter a motion to spend the same money for athletic equipment is made and adopted. No motion to reconsider the vote on the motion to purchase library books will thereafter be in order, because, if adopted, it would place before the assembly a motion which conflicts with the motion previously adopted and still in force. See 39.5. In such a case, if it is desired to reconsider the vote on the rejected motion, the subsequently adopted motion must first be rescinded or amended in some fashions that it no longer conflicts, or the vote on it must be reconsidered and reversed. Taking up the motion to reconsider at the time it is made. If a motion to reconsider is made at a time when it can be taken up, that is, when the motion proposed to be reconsidered would be in order initially, the chair immediately states the question on the motion to reconsider as pending before the assembly. In proposing a reconsideration of the vote on a main motion, it is usually better to make the motion to reconsider when no other business is pending and the motion can be taken up immediately, unless it appears that there may be no such opportunity or there is an important reason for doing otherwise. Calling up the motion to reconsider at a later time. If a motion to reconsider that involves a main motion cannot be taken up when it is made, then it can be called up and acted upon whenever no question is pending and no other member has the floor within the following limits. The motion to reconsider may be called up at any meeting of the same session in which it was made. If the next regular business session will be held within a quarterly time interval, 9-7, it may also be called up at any meeting of that next session, or at any intervening special meeting called for that purpose. To call it up, a member obtains the floor and says, "Mr. President, I call up the motion to reconsider the vote on the motion," and then identifies the motion to be reconsidered. The member is entitled to preference and recognition for this purpose. See 4213(4)(c). No second is necessary since the motion to reconsider was seconded at the time it was made. When this motion is called up, the chair immediately states the question on it as pending. See form and example. Privilege accorded the mover in regard to the time at which reconsideration takes place. Although any member can call up the motion to reconsider as just described, usually no one but the mover of the reconsideration calls it up on the day the motion is made, at least in cases where the session is to last beyond that day and there is no need for immediate action. The reason is that the mover may wish time to assemble new information, or if the reconsideration is moved on the same day the original vote was taken, he may want the unrestricted debate that will be allowable if the motion is taken up on another day. See below. So long as business is not unreasonably delayed and the mover of the reconsideration acts in good faith, he is entitled to have it take place at a time he feels will make for the fullest and fairest re-examination of the question. Duty of the chair when failure to call up the motion may do harm. In cases where a failure to call up a motion to reconsider may do harm, the chair has the duty to point out the situation to the assembly. Suppose, for example, that in a meeting of an ordinary society that will meet within a quarterly time interval, 9-7, there has been a motion to reconsider a vote to do something that can only be done before the next meeting. Should the present meeting adjourn without taking up the motion to reconsider, the measure proposed to be reconsidered would be killed unless an adjourned meeting or a special meeting were held to consider it. Therefore, if this meeting seems on the point of adjourning before the motion to reconsider has been taken up, the chair should explain the facts and suggest that someone call up the motion. If it has been moved to adjourn under these circumstances, the motion to adjourn can be withdrawn or voted down, or the time can be fixed for an adjourned meeting, which can be done either before or after the vote on adjournment has been taken. See Fix the Time to Which to Adjourn, Chapter 22. Debate on the motion to reconsider. Whenever the motion to reconsider is taken up, it is debatable if the motion proposed to be reconsidered is debatable, and debate can go into the merits of the question proposed to be reconsidered, as noted in Standard Characteristic 5. The right of each member to debate the motion to reconsider is separate from the original consideration of the motion proposed to be reconsidered. Therefore, even if a member exhausted his right to debate in the original consideration and the motion to reconsider is taken up on the same day, he still has the right to speak the regular number of times, twice unless the Assembly has a special rule providing otherwise, and debate on the motion to reconsider. For rules affecting a member's right to debate in the reconsideration if the motion to reconsider is adopted, see below. Effective adoption of the motion to reconsider and rules governing debate on the reconsideration. The effect of the adoption of the motion to reconsider is immediately to place before the Assembly again the question on which the vote is to be reconsidered, in the exact same position it occupied the moment before it was voted on originally. Note: however, passage of a motion to reconsider adoption of the previous question, 1616, or of objection to the consideration of a question, 26-6, is deemed to have resulted in the reversal of the original vote on those motions. That is, the previous question is deemed defeated, or the objection is deemed overturned, without taking another vote. It should also be noted that, if reconsideration of a vote taken on an amendable motion takes place during a later session, motions to amend the motion being reconsidered may be made during its reconsideration without regard to whether or not the same or similar motions to amend it were either adopted or rejected during any previous session. Back to reading. Rules governing debate on the reconsideration of a vote are as follows. Reconsideration of a vote on the same day. A member's right to debate the reconsideration of a vote is independent of the extent to which he took part in debate on the motion to reconsider. If the reconsideration takes place on the same day as the first consideration, however, anyone who exhausts his right to debate in the first consideration will not be able to speak on it again during the reconsideration without permission of the Assembly, but such a member can pursue an equivalent purpose while the motion to reconsider is pending, since the motion proposed to be reconsidered is also open to discussion and debate on the motion to reconsider. Reconsideration of a vote on a later day. Every member's right to debate in the reconsideration of a question begins over again, regardless of speeches made previously, if the reconsideration takes place on a day other than that on which the vote to be reconsidered was taken. Reconsideration under an order limiting or extending limits of debate. If a vote on one of a series of motions is taken under an order limiting debate or for the previous question, and then is reconsidered before such an order is exhausted, as explained in the sections on those motions, chapters 15 and 16, the same restrictions continue to apply to debate both on the motion to reconsider and on the reconsideration. In the case of reconsidering a motion similarly covered by an unexhausted order extending limits of debate, the extension applies only to the reconsideration itself, not to debate on the motion to reconsider. When reconsideration takes place after exhaustion of the previous question or limitation or extension of debate, these orders do not come back into force, and debate or amendment is subject to the ordinary rules. Reconsideration of subsidiary, privileged, and incidental motions. Conditions under which subsidiary, privilege, or incidental motions can be reconsidered depend on what other motions are pending at the time the reconsideration is moved as follows. To reconsider a subsidiary, privilege, or incidental motion, reconsideration moved while the main question is pending. When a main motion is pending, with or without a series of adhering motions, and it is moved to reconsider the vote on a related subsidiary, privilege, or incidental motion, the motion to reconsider becomes A, immediately pending, or B, pending at a lower position in the series, depending on whether the motion proposed to be reconsidered would then be in order if moved for the first time. Referring to case A above, the motion to reconsider takes precedence over all pending questions if the motion proposed to be reconsidered takes such precedence, see chapters 5 and 6, see also the chart on pages T3 through T5, in which case the motion to reconsider becomes the immediately pending question at once. For example, assume that it is moved and seconded to reconsider a negative vote on a motion to refer the pending main question to a committee. If the main question is now pending alone, or if no other questions are pending except motions to postpone indefinitely or to amend, which rank below the motion to commit, the chair at once states the question on the motion to reconsider as immediately pending. On the other hand, referring to case B above, if a series of motions is pending with the main question and the related motions whose reconsideration is proposed would not take precedence over all of them, the motion to reconsider does not become the immediately pending question when it is moved, but it becomes pending as one of the series at a position corresponding to the rank of the motion proposed to be reconsidered. In such a case, the motion to reconsider is taken up immediately after voting has been completed on all motions that would not yield to the motion to be reconsidered. For example, suppose that while a main motion, an amendment, and a motion to lay the pending questions on the table are pending, it is moved to reconsider a previous negative vote on referring the same main question and amendment to a committee. The order of the rank from highest to lowest of the four motions is 1. Lay on the table, 2. Commit, 3. Amend, and 4. The main motion. This is the order in which these motions would be voted on, and the reverse of the order in which they would be made. The procedure in this instance is as follows. The chair takes note of the fact that the motion to reconsider has been made and seconded, instructing the secretary to record it. He then proceeds to take the vote on the motion to lay on the table. If that motion is lost, he automatically states the question on the motion to reconsider the vote on the referral to the committee, since the motion to commit is next lower in rank. If the motion to reconsider is adopted, the motion to commit is then reconsidered and voted on again, and if this is lost, the question is then stated on the amendment. If the motion to lay on the table is adopted, then whenever the questions are taken from the table, the immediately pending question is the motion to reconsider, and from this point, the procedure is the same as above. If the reconsideration of a primary amendment is moved while another amendment of the same degree is pending, the pending amendment is disposed of first. Then the chair states the question on the motion to reconsider the amendment previously acted upon. When it is moved to reconsider a debatable subsidiary or incidental motion which relates to a pending main question or a series of pending questions, in which case the motion to reconsider is debatable as noted in Standard Characteristic 5, debate on the motion to reconsider can go into the merits of the motion proposed to be reconsidered, but not into the merits of any other pending question. For example, in the debate on a motion to reconsider an amendment to the pending main question, the merits of the amendment are open to discussion, but not those of the main question apart from the amendment. To reconsider an adhering subsidiary or incidental motion, reconsideration moved after the main question has been acted upon. If it is desired to reconsider the vote on a subsidiary or incidental motion, an amendment, for example, after the main question to which it adhered has been finally disposed of by adoption, rejection, or indefinite postponement, the vote on the main question or on its indefinite postponement must also be reconsidered. See also Standard Characteristic 2. In such a case, one motion to reconsider should be made to cover both the vote on the subsidiary or incidental motion whose reconsideration is desired and the vote on the main question or its indefinite postponement. The member who makes this motion to reconsider must have voted with the prevailing side in the original vote on the subsidiary or incidental motion. That is, on the motion which will be reconsidered first, the reconsideration takes place. The same principle applies to the reconsideration of a secondary amendment after the related primary amendment has been voted on. If such a reconsideration is desired while the main question is still pending, the primary amendment must also be reconsidered. If it is desired to reconsider the secondary amendment after the main question has been finally disposed of, the secondary amendment, the primary amendment, and the main question should all be reconsidered, and one motion to reconsider should be made covering the votes of these three motions. When a motion to reconsider covers the votes on two or more connected motions, not all of these questions can be discussed in debate on the motion to reconsider, but only the ones that will be voted on first if the motion to reconsider is adopted. Thus, if the motion is to reconsider the votes on a resolution, a primary amendment, and a secondary amendment, only the secondary amendment is open to debate in connection with debate on the motion to reconsider. If this motion to reconsider is adopted, the chair states the question on the secondary amendment and recognizes the mover of the reconsideration as entitled to the floor. The question is now in exactly the same condition as it was just before the original vote was taken on the secondary amendment. If a main motion is included in a series covered by a single motion to reconsider, as just described, the reconsideration is in order at the same time as if it had been moved to reconsider the main motion alone. If the motion to reconsider is made at a time when it cannot be taken up, it suspends action in the way described as 3711 and stands until called up, subject to the same conditions as if it applied only to the main motion. If a motion to reconsider the vote on an adhering subsidiary or incidental motion, an amendment, for example, is made after the main question to which it adheres has been either postponed to a certain time or laid on the table, the motion to reconsider is properly noted and is taken up in due course, 3727, if and when the main motion is again brought before the Assembly. The same is true if the motion to reconsider the adhering subsidiary or incidental motion was made before, but was not called up before, the main question was postponed or laid on the table. On the other hand, if a main question is referred to a committee, no motion to reconsider the vote and ended hearing, subsidiary or incidental motion is in order while the question is in the hands of the committee, and any such motion to reconsider that was made but not taken up prior to referral is thereafter ignored. Reconsideration in standing and special committees. Reconsideration in a standing or special committee, Chapter 50, differs from reconsideration in a meeting of the Assembly in the following respects. 1. A motion to reconsider a vote in the committee can be made and taken up regardless of the time that has elapsed since the vote was taken, and there is no limit to the number of times a question can be reconsidered. Likewise, the rule requiring unanimous consent to renew a defeated motion to reconsider does not apply in committees. 2. The motion can be made by any member of the committee who did not vote with the losing side, or in other words, the maker of the motion to reconsider can be one who voted with the prevailing side, or one who did not vote at all, or even was absent. 3. Unless all the members of the committee who voted with the prevailing side are present or have been given reasonable notice that the reconsideration will be moved, it requires a 2/3 vote to adopt the motion to reconsider. In other respects, reconsideration in a committee is the same as in a meeting of the society or its board. A vote cannot be reconsidered in a committee of the whole. Form an example. This motion may be made in forms such as the following. A. For the reconsideration of a main question. I move to reconsider the vote on the resolution relating to the annual banquet. I voted for, or against, whichever was the prevailing side, the resolution. To move the reconsideration of a subsidiary, privileged, or incidental motion relating to the main question while the main question is pending. I move to reconsider the vote on the amendment to strike out Friday and insert Saturday. I voted for, or against, the amendment. When the reconsideration of a subsidiary incidental motion is decided after the main question to which it adhered had been acted upon, I move to reconsider the votes on the resolution relating to the annual banquet and on the amendment to strike out Friday and insert Saturday. I voted for or against the amendment. If the maker of the motion to reconsider fails to state which side he voted on, the chair, before making any other response, directs the members to do so. The member moving the reconsideration must state how he voted on the resolution, or motion, or amendment, etc. If the resolution was adopted by unanimous consent, the chair asks whether the member was present at the time. If the member did not vote with the prevailing side, another member who did so can make the motion to reconsider if he desires. The motion must be seconded. If it is in order to take up the motion to reconsider when it is made, the chair immediately states the question as follows. It is moved and seconded to reconsider the vote on the following resolution, followed by reading it. If it is not in order to take up the motion to reconsider when it is moved, the chair says instead, it is moved and seconded to reconsider the vote on the resolution relating to... The secretary will make a note of it. He then continues with the pending business. When it is in order to call up the motion to reconsider and a member wishes to do so, the member rises and addresses the chair. Member A obtained the floor. I call up the motion to reconsider the vote, or votes on... The chair proceeds. The motion to reconsider the vote, or votes on, is called up. The question is on the motion to reconsider, etc., etc. If a reconsideration that could not be taken up when it was moved is one that later comes before the assembly automatically, then when that point is reached, the chair says, for example, the question is now on the motion to reconsider the vote on the amendment to... After debate on the motion to reconsider, assuming that this motion is adopted, the chair puts the question and states the result as follows. As many as are in favor of reconsidering the vote on the resolution relating to the annual banquet say aye. Those opposed say no. The ayes have it and the vote on the resolution is reconsidered. The question is now on the resolution, which is, etc. Or, the ayes have it and the votes on the resolution and the amendment are reconsidered. The question is now on the amendment, which is, etc. Note that if the result of the vote on the motion to reconsider is negative, it is the only vote taken. But if the motion to reconsider is adopted, this is followed, after any debate, by the taking of the vote or votes that are consequently reconsidered. Reconsider and enter on the minutes. Reconsider and enter on the minutes is a special form of the motion to reconsider that has a different object from the regular motion. Its purpose is to prevent a temporary majority from taking advantage of an unrepresented attendance at a meeting to vote an action that is opposed by a majority of society's or convention's membership. The effect of this form of the motion arises from the fact that when it is moved on the same day that the vote to be reconsidered was taken, it cannot be called up until another day, even if another meeting is held on the same day. Note, for an exception, see item 6 below. Back to reading. Thus, with a view to obtaining a more representative attendance, it ensures reconsideration of a question on a different day from the one on which the question was put to vote. The name of this form does not imply that the regular motion to reconsider is not also recorded in the minutes. Differences from the regular form of the motion. Reconsideration and enter on the minutes differs from the regular form of reconsider in the following respects. 1. It can be moved only on the same day that the vote proposed to be reconsidered was taken. The regular form of the motion to reconsider can be used on the next succeeding day within the session on which a business meeting is held. 2. It takes precedence over the regular motion to reconsider. Also, this motion can be made even after the vote has been taken on the motion to reconsider, provided that the chair has not announced the result of the vote. In this case, the regular motion to reconsider is then ignored. If it were not for the rule that the motion to reconsider and enter on the minutes takes precedence over the regular motion to reconsider, the motion to reconsider and enter on the minutes would generally be forestalled by the regular motion, which would be voted down, and then reconsider and enter on the minutes could not be moved. 3. It can be applied only to votes that finally dispose of main motions. That is, to A, an affirmative or negative vote on a main motion, B, an affirmative vote on postponing indefinitely, or C, a negative vote on an objection to the consideration of the question if the session extends beyond that day. 4. It cannot be applied to votes on motions whose object would be defeated by a delay of one day. For example, a motion asking a visitor to address a convention the following day cannot have this motion applied to it. 5. If more than a quarterly time interval, 9-7, will intervene before the next regular business session, it cannot be moved at the last business meeting of the current session. 6. It cannot be called up on the day it is made, except that when it is moved on the last day, but not the last meeting, of the session of an organization that is not scheduled to meet again within a quarterly time interval, 9-7, it can be called up at the last business meeting of the session. After a motion to reconsider and enter on the minutes has been called up, its treatment is the same as that of the regular motion to reconsider. Procedure for use of the motion. To illustrate the use of this form of the motion, suppose that at a long meeting of a county historical society, many members have left, unknowingly leaving a quorum comprised mainly of a small group determined to commit the society to certain action that a few of those present believe would be opposed by most of the membership. A member in opposition can prevent the vote on such action from becoming final by moving to reconsider and enter on the minutes the vote on. To be in a position to do this, such a member, detecting the hopelessness of preventing an affirmative result on the vote, should vote in the affirmative himself. If the motion to reconsider and enter on the minutes is seconded, all action required by the vote proposed to be reconsidered is suspended, and there is time to notify absent members of the proposed action. If no member of the temporary minority voted on the prevailing side and it is too late for anyone to change his vote, see 45-9, notice can be given that a motion to rescind the Assembly's action will be made at the next meeting. At this next meeting, provided that such notice has been given, the motion to rescind can then be adopted by a majority vote. Protecting against abuses of the motion. The motion to reconsider and enter on the minutes may occasionally be subject to attempted abuse, particularly in ordinary societies with single meeting sessions, since it gives any two members power to hold up action taken by a meeting. In the average organization, this motion should generally be reserved for extreme cases, and is in order only when final decision on the question could, if necessary, wait until the next regular meeting, or when an adjourned or special meeting to take it up is a practical possibility. If an actual minority in a representative meeting makes improper use of this motion by moving to reconsider and enter on the minutes a vote which requires action before the next regular meeting, the remedies to fix the time adjourned meeting, chapters 9 and 22, on another suitable day when the reconsideration can be called up and disposed of. In such a case, the mere making of a motion to set an adjourned meeting would likely cause withdrawal of the motion to reconsider and enter on the minutes, since its object would be defeated.